So, as most of you guys already know, Wesley, you don't know yet, but you can right find out. Also, be safe, good brother, with the driving and all that. Um, how we do these usually is I'll speak about something, um, and then sort of ask a question or just offer space for some responses. We'll chit chat about the thing that I spoke about, and then we'll go into the guided meditation from there. And this morning was on my heart, and it might be also it might come as a surprise to some of you guys, but what's on my heart this morning is the word violence. It's the word violence. Um, as most of these words and most of these things that come up for me are violence is another one that's it's it's understood at a certain level, but it's also misunderstood largely by the human family. And there's so many avenues that lead to it that we don't necessarily once what how do I say, when we start on the path towards it, we don't know that that's where we're headed. We just know that it feels like, sometimes it feels better to just go this way, but we don't know that leads sometimes to violence. Hey, mom, this
Good
morning I'm
morning.
talking about violence.
Oh,
Word
okay.
violence was on my heart this morning.
All right. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. Um, but one of the main things that's misunderstood about it is how it starts. When you think of violence and someone says, "How does it start?" What happened? How did you get there? We usually talk about either words or actions, but violence starts in emotion, right? We experience emotions and slowly but surely move into violence of some kind, mostly verbal, right? Most of us are not out here playing fisticuffs with our friends, although sometimes it's necessary. But violence begins in our emotions most of the time. There's some very very rare self-defense stories that are different, but I'm not talking about them. And violence does not always look like fists and bloodshed and loudness, right? Violence can be very quiet, very long term instead of a explosion. It can be looked at in a very in a multitude of ways, and it can be tolerated in a multitude of ways, again, long term, both tolerated as the receiver and tolerated as the giver by mistake, right? As you're doing something that you learned from your upbringing and you don't intend to, but you don't intend to change either. And yeah, maybe I will. Tensi told me to without using names, say a little bit about the story that this is coming from. And yeah, that's a good idea. So just thinking of how to word it without the naming of the names. Someone recently who has been both tolerating from the receiving end and tolerating from the giver end um, violent emotions exploded yesterday on the person they love most and were exploded on yesterday by that same person, who also carries a lot of emotions that are the mother of eventual violence. And it's it's a situation that has a lot of moving parts and is complicated because there's multiple generations involved and uh things that are hard to explain, you could say, about it. But it's an example of that sort of volcano like aspect of violence, that eventual inevitability that comes with holding on to emotions, and especially that comes with being violent in to yourself in terms of your self judgment and your self talk. And even I'm still overcoming some patterns of violent self talk where it's easy to say certain things, i.e., why do I always dot dot dot? Things that are related to the shame, stuff like that. Why do I always? Why can I never? Uh, I'm so this and that, whatever it is. And and so that's pretty much the spiel. Um, the the main takeaways and where I'm gonna sort of open the floor to is what what you tolerate within yourself. Are you paying enough attention to it? Do you even know how to pay attention to it in a way that will lead to a release and a relaxation of it that's healthy? Um, you know what I'm saying? Because what you hold on to, what you have inside when you're met with challenges, it will come out. It will rise to the surface and come out. It's like when you squeeze an orange, orange juice comes out. You squeeze a lemon, lemon juice comes out. You squeeze a banana, banana juice, banana meat comes out. And that's because that's what's inside. And so if you're harboring a lot of emotions that are essentially the mother of violence, and again, not all violence is verbal abuse or fists and explosions like that, um, then that will come out, and it'll come out either in how you treat and deal with others, or it'll come out on yourself, like to the surface, but still on the inside in your mind space and in your emotional space, and and everything. And so my question this morning is, even if just for today, how will you prevent going down a path of violence, or insert appropriate word for you here? Even if just for today, how will you prevent going down that path? You can take a few moments to let the question kind of sink in, of course. And yeah.
I have a question.
Hmm.
Are you talking about physical violence or physical and emotional violence? I mean physical and mental. I don't think I'm saying this right.
I get the question though. Is it's an and or kind of thing, whatever most resonates with you. Not all violence is physical in nature. And I would say probably a good 70% or so of violence is not physical in nature. Um, or not, at least it's not physical explosions. It's sometimes oftentimes it's it gets there before the giver is completely aware of what even they're doing, because like I said, either you're just acting out a learned behavior, or your self-talk has gotten so low that this is how you look at everybody, this sort of thing that leads to you trying to take control and hurt people's feelings in order to get them to act the way you want them to, or do the things you want them to, or stop doing the things that point out your own shortcomings. It's so many ways that I don't want to get lost in the entanglement of what could happen. just just paying attention to the toleration of receiving, or the toleration of giving from a deeper place where you can see it coming, is my goal with this one, I guess, because we're not so good all the time that we're totally without violence. All of us carry violence within in some way, shape, or form. And it starts in our emotion. It starts in the emotional space. And so just paying more attention to that. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Not everyone.
you were
But
supposed
yes.
to answer.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, okay. I have a chat answer. So, okay. So Lisa says, not sure that I will or should in one space, but owning the fact that I harbor violent emotion so that I can redirect it will help me avoid it in another, for sure. For sure. That awareness that we always talk about. Right.
Yeah. I'm thinking that, so yeah, I know I can be violent in different ways, and I know I can be violent in my thoughts towards myself, the way I speak to myself. So before, I thought violence was just like, oh, hurting somebody or whatever, but I never really thought about being violent towards myself with my words. So with that, I would hold maybe more patience and compassion for myself. And then in doing that, I will be able to also hold that for different views and perspectives of others. So maybe if another person is quick to anger, like I sometimes would want to match that. So
Right.
instead of matching that, I would just acknowledge it as something that happens, whether it's conditioning, whatever it is, and just be patient with that. Whether I have to breathe into it, whether I have to slow down, but not to match that vibration, knowing that I am capable of that same vibration. So just be holding space and compassion and
Yeah.
patience, because knowing this too shall pass.
Yeah. Wonderful. Beautiful. For sure.
Yeah, I remixed the question. I was like, violence.
Well, no, I understood it as violence, which to me is not always bad or always wrong, but being aware of it is still very important,
Yeah.
right? To know, A, that it's violent, and are you consciously exercising violence? Could you do something different, right? Because obviously you
Hmm.
should be discriminate. So when
Right.
he said, if just for today, how will you be aware of it and prevent it? And I said, well, I don't know that in one space I will, because if there's combat, well, there's combat. But it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be in all spaces. And so in other areas, just, owning the fact that I harbor that emotion that could give way to verbal, emotional, or other types of violence, I want to not do that. So there are certain
Yeah.
spaces where I'm completely prepared to match the violence that comes my way. And there's other situations where I absolutely don't want to be a contributor, participant, or even respond to violence that even might come my way because I don't want violence in this space. So it's just depends on where I'm at today.
Don't mess with Lisa.
Don't mess with Lisa. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Not everyone got that memo at the state of Texas. Okay.
Comes in peace, but
Okay, let's not take this the other way, guys. Let's
Yes,
not take
no.
this the other way.
This is
Not gonna
Yeah,
take
Tensi,
pride
try
in. It just
to
is what it is.
try to it's okay. Thank you for putting it in the chat, but yeah, that is a slightly different vibe from what uh how I put it, and it's fine. It's totally
Yes, it was fun.
just,
I just didn't want people to read that and think that's what I was saying.
yeah.
So preventing violence within myself is really where this is applicable for me, and like in the thought space, and violence in the sense of shame, mostly, is how it comes up for me. So judgment and shame. So whenever like a thought comes up from something in the past, or it's mostly the past, honestly, something in the past of like, I wasn't good enough, or I should have done better, or I should have been more, I should have, done more, all of that narrative is pain,
Yeah.
emotional pain that arises in me and many others. But in the prevention, for me, that's the acknowledgement that this voice is nothing but a tapped in frequency that's been practiced, like muscle memories, been practiced, and it's just more effortless from the past. Just to be aware that this voice no longer speaks for me, and it never truly did, because it cannot understand the power that I am, the power that I am, another name of God, flowing through,
That I am.
cannot
Sure.
understand. And a lot of the pains that I felt were from when I was a child. And a lot of those pains, like a child cannot fully understand. That's where the voice comes from, that timestamp, you know? So either way, just knowing that it's just a voice, it's just a voice that pops in the mind. It's just a snapshot of a memory, an image, whatever that pops in the mind. But it does not represent now, because now there's a knowing of my divine nature. There's a knowing that if I am a child of God, and if everything is of God, then why am I tripping? And it's okay. It's okay. And I was never just this body to begin with. So there's also that. So just the foundation of
Yeah.
that understanding for me is super helpful.
Yeah.
And just slowing down to breathe and be present with it. And some things just go on their own. So, and other things is just whenever I slow down and and present with it instead of trying to deny or push it away or say, that's invalid, then it doesn't grow, and it also leaves. And love has a moment to be present. So that's my main prevention, is the awareness of who I am.
Thanks, Timothy,
That
because
was poetry.
that was real. That was
Ditto.
real. That was real, real, real. And it was deep inside my soul because, you know, I, I grew up in a violent life, and I always found myself finding little spaces I could crawl into. I mean, physically, just to get away from it. And as I, grow and live and see, I now find those spaces within myself to
Hmm.
you know, just take all of that away. Like it's not real. It's happening, but for me, I don't take it and ingest it and walk around with it. It's just that little voice, like you said, and I can just do away with it because, again, like you said, I am a child of God, and God says, "Give Him all of your worries, give Him all of your concerns," and that's what, basically, as you learn and you grow and you become an adult, you realize that if you live that way, that violence, either even if it's coming from within you, that negative thought, those feelings, or from without outside, I don't have to keep it. I don't have to walk around with it. I don't have to live that way. I'm just going into my little space, and I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna not allow violence to take over my thinking and my way of living.
That's
Thank you,
like,
Tensito. Thank you. Let's
well,
put it in a book. I love you. I love you.
love you too.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to post the replay.
There's something I wrote down in my Freedom Seeker decree that I read to myself every day, every morning, that says, I will something like, I will not allow fear to write my story for me.
Yeah.
So something that you said just was like, yo, that reminded me. Let's.
And just as a side, I am gonna continue on my I'm that doesn't stop just because I stopped, that doesn't stop. I still continue to read it and to write it and to let
Wonderful.
it all out. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, is that all? Is that all? I just want to hold space just in case someone's getting their words right before they start. Okay. So, wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you all. My own answer to this question, similar to Tensi's as well, is that I will cling only to truth. Even if just for today, I will cling only to truth. Because the thing about violence and the emotions that give birth to violence, they're very clingy. And if you don't cling back, the violence never arrives. And the emotions aren't, they, since 99% of the time, they don't have a good foundation to stand on, they crumble. All that is required is that you cling to the truth that is true always, as Tensi loves to say. And the only truth that is true always has a name, which is I am. I am is the truth that is true always. At least it's one that has a name. There is another truth that has no description and no name, but can't talk about it if there's no description. So, all in all, jokes aside, funnies aside, I will hold only to truth today. And through this, we are able to shine the light of our own consciousness, our own awareness, not our personal awareness, not the awareness that has all the stories and all the incomplete interpretations of what's going on and who I'm supposed to be and who they're supposed to be, but the pure awareness that is here now. Shining this light on anything will make it dissolve into everything. And so, cling to truth with me, everyone, and let's enjoy some Friday morning meditation. So I'm gonna first give a few moments so you all can get kind of comfy in your space, to find a good equilibrium of relaxation and just sitting somewhat with a straight back if you can help it. And we're going to begin today's meditation as we always do, with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth together on the count of 3. When we breathe in, we're going to be breathing in peace. And when we breathe out, we'll be breathing out the mind. 1, 2, 3. In with peace. And out. Welcome to this moment, everyone. In this moment, you are free. Freedom does not require any effort, any thought, or any state. Freedom does not come and go like our thoughts, our moods, our states. Our feelings. Freedom simply is. And in this moment, you are free. Take in this freedom. Allow yourself to merge with this freedom. Allowing your pure awareness, the light of your own consciousness, to shine without taking any control over it. For all it is doing is allowing the things that wrestle themselves up to the surface to dissolve into everything. Just relax. Enjoy the show. For here there is nothing to become, nothing to hold on to or let go of. Remain as the witness to even your own sense of self in the now. For your sense of self also comes and goes, but the witness, pure awareness, simply is. When you woke up this morning, somehow you were already aware. Before your story flooded your mind, you were already aware. So let go of the story, just for a moment, just for now. And enjoy the vast expanse of the pure awareness that you are. As the breath comes in and goes out, as you feel the general weight of your body, as time slowly passes through, remain aware. True meditation is not about being in a trance or state of hypnosis. It is about becoming familiar with the truth that is true always, which I call I am. Even if there are 1,000 thoughts, before they arrive one by one, you are already aware. When they are replaced with other thoughts, you are already aware. When they bring up feelings to the surface, you are already aware. And even when they grab your attention and you play with them or dance with them, you are already aware. But the you that is already aware is not the one doing the dancing, is not the one that is confused. This You simply is. It is not personal. It has no favorite states of mind. It has no need for impatience. It doesn't even need to try to be compassionate to the world. For nothing can alter this space within. Just as the sky may hold great storms, yet remain untouched, unbothered, and unchanging. For no storm has stained the sky. No experience has stained your true self. To meditate truly is to know thyself. Be still and know. This does not mean to throw away the personal self. It simply means to wake up from the delusion that that is who you are. To wake up means whatever was in the dream is no longer here. For in truth, you are the dreamer of the dream and not the figure within it. To be awake is to be alive. Allow yourself the luxury, the privilege to be alive. For in this moment, you are free. So observing all the tension, observing the subtle energies, observing the feelings. You are no longer controlled by them. Observing the movements. You are no longer controlled by them. Observing the personal self you once took yourself to be. You are no longer controlled by him or her. In this moment, you are free. Ashe. In just a moment, I will count 1, 2, 3, and we'll take our final deep breath. And when we do, walk in love when you continue your day. Not in love with, simply in love. One, two, three. In with peace. And out. Welcome to this moment, everyone. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me again. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. I'm feeling good. How are you all? Thank you for coming.
Thank you. That's what I needed. A new dawn, a new day.
For you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Yes, this was wonderful as usual. I love it. And I love when you was, clinging to the truth. Wow, that was so grounding. And then, even talking about just the freedom and you're free and that also. So it was like it went from the bottom up. So grounding and just the truth, but then freedom is a part of that truth. And then it just felt so like an opening.
That's great.
But you hit the spot.
Yeah, that's great. That felt like a hug.
Yeah, and look,
Yeah, it did.
That's wonderful. That's the point. That's the point. We come to meditation not just to relax the body for 5 minutes and say, "Oh, just what the doctor ordered," but to be free, to be familiar with your God-given freedom. What in the world can take your God-given freedom? What story can shake up your God-given freedom?
I really enjoyed just the breathing, just paying attention to the breath, and I just felt like loving on myself, just loving on myself, forgiving myself. Uh, faith and fear can't live in the same space. And it was just what I needed. That's what I needed.
This is what it's about. It's just getting out of the mind and remembering yourself is not an effort. It's always going to come with the relaxation.
Yeah.
It's effortless. It's not an effort.
I have a question in a way.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I was thinking, like, in a way, does the truth, maybe you'll make this a better question for me, but does the truth reside outside of the mind? Like, it's in the mind and outside of the mind, like, because the mind.
Does the truth reside outside of the mind? Before I give a direct answer, I want to give some context about what it is that we call the mind.
Yeah.
What we call the mind is not an object, or should I say, it's not a solid object. It's not static. What we call the mind is our thoughts and emotions as they show up, right? What the mind really is like a doorway. On the side of the doorway that you can't see, because the door is it's an open doorway, but you can't see beyond the door, right? You're just not looking out there. And so on the side that you can't see of the doorway is the all, the all, right? And on the side of the doorway that you can see is your own mental space, you could say your conscious attention can touch, right? Not just like your pool of knowledge and things like that, but just really kind of what's here, what's swimming around in the mind space in any given moment, as you know, it's always changing. And so on one end of the doorway, there's the all, which is why thoughts seemingly come from nowhere, right? You don't ask for any of your thoughts. You think tens of hundreds of thousands of thoughts a day, you don't by your own willpower construct any of them. They just show up. And so they come through this doorway and then you can see them. Make sense? My analogy? It's just an analogy, but okay. So this is what we call the mind, or this is the mind, and then what we call the mind is like this stream of thoughts. And we don't call the mind the all-knowing, even though it is. There's but one mind in the entire universe. It's not personal. But on the other side of the sort of doorway is your personal kind of what's happening in your mind space. But on the other side, it's the same for everyone. So, okay. So hopefully it doesn't have to be like understood on an expert level. It's just got to be digested before this next part. Okay.
It was like it's not static. The way you described it as a doorway, yeah, I get it. Okay, cool.
Good. So, when dealing with the question, does the truth reside outside of the mind? The truth is the witness to both the all and the mind. The mind, as in my possessive thoughts, what I possess. The truth is the witness of both the all, the door, all three of the all, the doorway, and what I can see, what's inside the house, what's inside of the door. The truth is so simple that the mind itself, what we call the mind, meaning what swims up in my mental space, cannot grasp it and paint a picture of it, because it just is, right? The way that we've learned to speak about things, you can hear the sound that I'm sharing, right? We say it is raining, but there's no object for it. It's just the way that we've been taught to speak, with the subject, the what it's doing, and the sort of the three parts of speech. I don't want to say it wrong, but there's three parts of speech. One of them is the subject, the sort of object, and then the predicate, the thing that's happening. So, but that's just the way that we simply could just say raining now, but we say it is raining. We say I am such and such. But the I am is not the one that's doing the such and such. It's either the body or the mind that's doing the such and such, not the I am. The I am, whenever we say I, what we're talking about is the God self. But we confuse it and take it to be the sort of body-mind combination construct. The truth is the I am without the story. The witness without the personal interpretations of what it's witnessing, and without the changing nature of the things that it witnesses. It doesn't have that same changing, sort of always changing nature. When you were first born, somehow you were already aware. This is the truth of being, and it's also just the truth of existence itself. When you were born, when the universe was born, somehow there was already awareness. It wasn't personal. It didn't come with I am Queenie, I am Jackie, I am Judy. It was just aware. It just is. And that same awareness is, and I said during the meditation, when you woke up this morning, somehow you were already aware, even though you were asleep. And right before you wake up, there's oftentimes no dream, like right there when you start to cross over, the dream stops and the waking state sort of starts after a few seconds. And so even though you were asleep and for a moment there was total blank, something was already aware before the personal eye, before the thing. And that is the truth. And luckily, that truth is still here. What makes it hard to see is habit. Simply habit. As soon as you go to shift your perception from looking from the person or the personal self to looking from the truth that is true always, habit switches you back. It's just habit. But the truth is here. It never leaves. I mean, why would it leave? If awareness was not here, where would the universe be? Where would anything be if there was not awareness? Right? Like you're outside, you can see sort of the sky and things on the right, or for inside you can see the walls, you can see the ceiling fan, you can see all these things. Without awareness, where is the world? Right? Without awareness, where is sleep? Where is dream? Where is anything? Something is aware. That is the truth. That is I am. Without person, I am. And so, truth, God, pure awareness, all of these labels, they come close to describing or naming what it is, but we really can't name it because the naming of it happens inside of the bubble of personal understanding. It happens inside the house on the other side of the doorway, not in the all. The all doesn't have much to say. Even though it's the all, doesn't have much to say. And so talk to me. What's happening as we look into this? Because we're looking together. I'm not lecturing.
I liked your description. You said doesn't have much to say, I guess, because it just is. And I like that because I also like how you described the mind, because it's like I looked at the mind as like this static, like I was like, okay, it's the brain, like it's here, it's this, and it's just like, whoa. When you look at it the way you described it, like as this open doorway, then it almost seemed, it also created a lot more freeness, because it's like, oh, all of these things are just like coming and going, like nothing really has to reside here unless I make it reside here, like, so I don't know. And then just the truth. Sometimes it's like, with the truth, you just also talked about the vastness of just who we are, and the truth of, I am in the image of God. I, is the God self. And sometimes just with truth, just, you said it just is. But yeah, when you add so much layers and try to add so much to it, and it just takes away. And that's the habit and the conditioning. So yeah. It's yeah.
Okay. I think yes.
Thank you for that, because there's some questions that come up and it's just like, wait a minute, but I don't want to like burst any blood vessels trying to figure certain things out, because some things, like you said, it just is. But I really appreciate that.
No problem. And the mind won't grasp truth, because the mind is what we call the mind, right? Because the actual mind, all of this is mine. All of this is mine, right? Like there's a cool little, I don't know, passage of words that there was a boy and he was standing with his father at the fence, and beyond the fence there was a tree, and on a branch of the tree there was a bird. And the boy said, "Papa, what's that?" That just came and landed on the branch. But the dad didn't answer, because somehow he knew if he told his boy that that was a bird, the boy would never see a bird again. What does that mean? When you put the label on it, it becomes the mind. It stops being what it really is, and it becomes something in your mind. If I say bird, then you subconsciously, without asking for it, assign behavior to it, assign a certain look to it, assign all of these things to it, and that's not what makes a bird a bird. A bird is a bird because God is, because you are, because you as awareness are. That makes it the thing. And so Papa didn't say, "Oh, son, it's a bird." That's called a bird. Birds have feathers. He didn't say anything. And the son was able, through the conscious observation of silence of his father, to actually experience a bird.
So the mind as we know it, or as we perceive it, is limited.
Yes. Yes. I think to just say yes to that, because there is a way to sort of take that the wrong way, but the way that you felt just now, it sounded like how it really is. And I can get, because of my mind's habit, right, my conditioning, I can get a little nervous around certain wording and start to overthink myself.
Yeah, when you were talking, when you were giving the explanation, that's exactly what I thought, what it felt like to me, that we limit our mind. So by placing these labels on things, and so the man didn't answer the boy because he didn't want that to happen to him.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's the boy's gonna learn it's a bird, right? At
Mm-hmm.
some point. It's not, we give thanks for this limitation, because without the limited mind, what does pizza taste like? Right? How do you enjoy the story if you don't tell the story? So tell the story. Just also go to Friday morning meditation and let go of the story. The point of spirituality is not to learn to be holy. It's to learn to walk in the middle. Right? The yin yang symbol, that the circle with the white and the black and the two dots. The point of that is to find the middle. It's not to say, okay, there's black in the white and there's white in the black. No, that's already true. What's the middle? The middle. And it doesn't mean the middle of the circle of the symbol. It means what's the middle, like of the middle way. What's the middle way? That's something in Zen Buddhism, the middle way.
What I'm hearing is the mind is actually the experience. It's not thinking. It's just the experience of what is. It's not naming it. It's not identifying. It's just the experience. Like the little boy seeing the bird. It's an experience. He didn't name it, but he experienced what happened. And the same thing within our minds. We experience. We don't always have to identify, but it's an experience. Would you? That sound about?
The mind itself is not the experience. Reality is the experience. But when the mind says, I am experiencing such and such so and so, then yes, it's in the mind. That happened in the mind, that I experienced such and such so and so. But reality is now. And even if the memory of experiencing such and such is in the now, it doesn't have a name. It just is here. It simply is. And the awareness of it, that witness, the true I am, is not naming the things, that it's not naming the things. And Yeah, like, you know, in so for the boy, something came to the branch, and in his mind, something came up. What is that? Hey, Papa, what is that? And, you know, and the name Papa, right? You are my dad. You are this father. No, he's just another human. He just happened to have some involvement in your being human, but he's not just your father, right? When you're not here, he's a friend. When someone else is here, he's a son. When someone else is here, he's a nephew or an uncle or whatever. He's not just Papa, but in the mind, he's Papa because that's your story. And so, you know, with the bird and things, and he didn't say anything, he was able to experience the reality of the bird beyond what we call the mind. Now, again, all of this is mind. So the birds are also mind, but that's more so we don't have a means of experiencing life without the mind, but the psychological part of the mind, the function of the naming and the giving story and the assigning, you know, the okay, so that means this is going to have a certain kind of behavior and a certain kind of way of being. That that is what we need to learn to sort of allow it to be there, but know that it's always incomplete. It's not true. It's not truth. It's true, but it's not truth. Right? Someone hurts my feelings. It's my feelings that are being hurt. It's not that they are hurting my feelings. Right? My mind is either replaying what they're saying or interpreting what they're saying incompletely, and I'm assigning this label, you hurt my feelings, onto the otherwise pure raw experience of emotional movement. And so the experience does not say you hurt my feelings. My mindset, the psychological part of my mind says you hurt my feelings because I assigned you a certain behavior and you went beyond that behavior. Now that may, I hope that that simplifies and doesn't complicate the thing that I'm trying to get across, but it's kind of like that, where there's the experience of the now, of reality, and there's also the incomplete story that we tell about it, but which is necessary for us to experience as human beings. It's necessary. It's a part of the. It's like being in a body, right? You are not your body. The witness is not the body, but we need the body for, you know, again, what does an orange taste like? You know, we need the body. We need the story. We need the incomplete interpretation, and we need moments to connect with the truth and to do so. You know, there's yoga, meditation, religion, and study and certain things, but there's also the fact that the truth is always here, and so we can let go of what we think we know when it's appropriate. I'm getting nervous. I hope I'm not overwording things.
No, it's what's happening is, and I know this has to end in a minute, but it's like it's making me think about other things, you know, like, because like I'm trying to relate this, like, you know, the story, the truth to, like, for example, what's happening in Afghanistan. Like, you know, because like sometimes there's some guilt around, hey, I'm having such a great time. And, you know, maybe I might post something fabulous on Facebook and then I'm like, oh, and then there's people suffering. But then it's like, how do I, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I get stuck with that, you know, like.
It's okay. It's necessary. It's okay. Learn from it. Don't hold on to it. Right? To learn from it is to move beyond it. And
But in order to do that, you got to experience it. You got to experience that emotion.
yeah, the mind will say to move beyond it is not sensitive, is not compassion, but it actually is the purest form of compassion when you actually learn from it. Now, running from it is not learning from it. There's a difference. But learn from it and move beyond it. You know, it's really simple. And I love you all. Love you all. All y'all gets the love.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Same to you. Same to you.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye bye, everyone.
Love you all.
Love
Love
you
you. Mwah.
too.
Nah.